Hi, I'm Dave Dinkel. I want to talk about 30 recent real estate wholesale transactions. Where did these deals come from, and what other unique factors were involved? So in this summary of 30 deals, what I want to go over first of all is they are not deals that include any assignments or JV transactions. They were all same-day double closings that were funded by actually my transactional funds. They do not include my students' deals that they funded themselves. And finally, they occurred in a few weeks' time. Now, the first thing I want to show you is how, if you haven't seen this before, how I break a HUD or closing statement or ALTA or CD. They're all pretty much the same. They're accounting sheets. When you get to closing, this is what you're going to see. One of those four types of closing statements. So this happens to be a HUD statement, and this is the top half of it. As you know, you have an A to B and a B to C transaction. A to B, you as the investor or the buyer. B to C, you as the investor or the seller. So the only important part that's on this A to B top half of the HUD is really the purchase price, $440,000. Now, if you're saying to yourself, I don't have $440,000, neither did this broker. He's a realtor who's been a broker for over 20 years, and he didn't have $440,000 to purchase the property. But I'm going to walk you through what he did, show you his exact profits, and how he made profits from three different areas. This is the bottom half of the HUD. This is the amount of money that he needed to actually close. One of the reasons was he put up a $10,000 earnest money deposit. When he called me with the transaction, he said to me, "Dave, do you loan earnest money deposits?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, I need $10,000. I got a great deal here." And I said to him, there's 7 ways to do it. I recommended one of them to him. It got the $10,000 for him. So now we move on to, he has it. As soon as we close, he's on title. And then we go to the B2C side. But before we do that, I want you to see the second page of the HUD, which I usually never show because this is the commission side and the expense side. But in this case, I'm showing it to you because this broker is getting this commission of $22,000 for buying the property. Now, what's interesting here, if you notice, there's a 2% and a 3% commission. So if you're saying to yourself, why is it split in two parts? On certain types of transactions, the lenders or owners of those properties have come back and said the real estate broker cannot receive more than half of the commission. So what did those brokers do? And this is an instantaneous response by brokers in the entire state that I'm in. They opened a second brokerage firm. So in this case, he got 2% from one, 3% from the other brokerage firm for a total of $22,000. Now, this is the second statement. Typically, if you're not using a HUD statement because there's an end buyer who's getting borrowed funds, they use something else, an ALTA statement or a CD, or simply what's called a closing statement. In some cases, they may even call it a settlement statement. Doesn't matter what they call it. Here's what it's about. He sold the property for $456,750. So by theory, if he paid $440 and he sold it for $456,750, he'd be looking at a profit of $16,750. However, let's look at what really happened. What I want you to see on the second page of the closing statement is, see these fees? These are all fees that the end buyer had to pay the hard money lender. So as you go into thinking about, I'll just get a hard money lender to pay for it, look at the fees. And these are not extraordinary fees. Some of them are necessary, county taxes and other taxes and so on. But these were all fees that had to be paid at the closing. The thing that's interesting here is the end buyer put up a $5,000 earnest money deposit. So I always say this is the wrong way to do it, because if the end buyer doesn't close, you may be able to get his $5,000 earnest money deposit, but you'll lose your $10,000. Didn't matter. This is this bottom half of the B2C settlement statement. And lo and behold, here's some fees. A marketing fee and a real estate commission as a buyer's agent and as a seller's agent, totaling $36,600, which, by the way, happened to be for the same broker. There's my transactional funding fee paid back, $435,000. So what's going on here? Is that the profit? Typically what I would say to you as we're looking at these statements is that's how much the investor made on the transaction. If you remember, he paid $440, he sold it for $456,750. And if you think, well, gee whiz, that's $16,000, he lost a little money on closing. Not hardly. So let's look at what really happened here. His profit on the transaction is shown on the settlement statement, $14,180.79. You can see it there. Remember, he got $22,000 listing the property as a commission. He He also received $36,600 buyer's agent commission, seller's agent commission, marketing fee, so on and so forth, which is shown above. But he put up $10,000 earnest money deposit, so we have to subtract that from the proceeds. The net result is $62,780.79, or 14.3% total income on the purchase price of the original purchase price of $440,000. Is this legal? Well, frankly, it is, if you know how to do it. And what I want to do is, I didn't do this as an example to show you how agents and brokers can earn more commissions. That's coming. What I did this for is to show you how the A to B and B to C settlement statements work. So what I've done to save time and space is to break these down into snapshots of each one of the group of closing statements. Here's number 1 through 6. Remember I said we have 30 of them. So here's the second 6. And up here I put where the source was: driving for dollars, non-owner occupied, 2 closing agents, non-owner occupied, wholesaler to wholesaler, so on and so forth. Here's the next 6. And the next 6 also, and finally the last 6, which comes to a total of 30 deals. Now I put on here not listed on the MLS, listed on the MLS, because I'm going to break these down for you in a moment or so you can see where each of them came from. So as a recap, 30 deals in a few weeks, 8 of these being hybrid wholesale transactions. Hybrid meaning a real estate agent was the purchaser and the seller of the property acting as a wholesaler. So once again, I did this breakdown in the snapshots simply so that you wouldn't have to be buried in details of each of these transactions. Now let's go ahead and look at the summary. Here's the summary of the data. Here's the number 1 through 30, whether they're listed or not, earnest money deposits, and what I want you to notice here is look at all the zeros. I'm going to talk about those in a second. Here's the source, probate, so on and so forth, non-owner occupied. Here is the net profit. What's the net profit? That means that if they had a deposit up, I subtracted that from the amount, and there's the profits. So what this shows is the MLS listed property, there was 15 of them. Not listed, there was 15. So if you hear this story about, well, I only can go directly to sellers because there's no listed deals that have any profit in them, wrong. Just have to learn how to get those profits out of them. For the specific deals that had no earnest money deposits on the HUD, there was 22 out of 30. 22 out of 30, no earnest money deposit shown on the HUD. 15, again, were listed on the MLS, 15 not listed on the MLS. 22 of the 30 show no earnest money deposits. Wholesale average profit, $29,753. Is this average? Well, it is. In this case, it's average for these deals because they're, in most cases, higher priced properties. So let's go and look at what's important to me, is the source of the deal. There's a lot of niche markets in real estate investing. And you hear a lot of things, especially about new, bright, shiny objects, how you can go out there and absolutely kill the real estate market because some guru is selling you a niche market product that will find unlimited deals for you that no other investor has had. Oh, I hate to tell you the real story, but it's probably going to be a serious waste of money for you, if not just a waste of money. Because here's the sources that are most common and that work. City liens, very oftentimes looked over by the average investor because, the new investors think to themselves, well, if it has liens, nobody wants to buy them. The bigger the liens, the more the money ultimately, if you can learn how to work out those deals. Driving for dollars, age-old sort of thing. Look at the profit average, $36,000 on city liens, but there's only one of them. But on driving for dollars, the average profit is around $29,000. Non-owner occupied, average profit around $25,000. Probates. The average profit here was $26,714, and I have to say to you, tongue-in-cheek, that's unusually small for probates, but it's okay. REOs, $27,000, almost $800, and W2W, what's that? That's wholesalers to wholesalers. Look at the average profit on those deals, $45,000, almost $900. So why is it so much larger than the other ones? Because these are professional wholesalers, my students in most cases, who have learned how to get deals from new wholesalers and re-wholesale those deals, typically to rehabbers, and make a lot of money, as you can see. So finally, 8 of the above were hybrid transactions. What does that mean? It means that licensed real estate agents are realtors in some cases, which means they belong to the National Association of Realtors, were the buyers and sellers. They were the wholesalers in these transactions. I call them hybrid, and the question becomes, well, what is hybridism? You said it, but tell me again. This is basically where you, as a licensed agent, and some states, if you're going to be a wholesaler, you may have to become a licensed agent, or you have to do a double closing, which isn't that hard to do. If you're a licensed agent, you then have the ability to go into a seller and say to them, I can list it on the MLS for you. We can try to get the maximum price available. But, oh, by the way, you have a sale coming up. It's called a foreclosure sale, tax deed sale, sheriff's sale, or something's happening, a divorce, a bankruptcy. These things are going to affect the price significantly, and you're under a time constraint. Now, I've seen listing agents, in their wisdom, say to a seller, in fact, a tax deed pre-sale, I can list the property and have it sold for you before the auction next week. Well, they listed it, but they didn't sell it and close, and what happened is the homeowner lost his home and his equity in the property. So I'm going to say, in the fervor of trying to get a listing rather than doing what would be common sense, or what the listing agent knew he could do, he did his best and he did his worst at the same time. An investor can come in there and stop that sale. Now, how do you stop a tax deed sale because you can't stop them? You can. There's more than two ways to stop a tax deed sale. We do this all the time when we need to. So what's happened, there's a change in the industry. The longer an agent works as a listing agent, where he works for 2.5%, 3%, he understands that, in fact, even at today's prices on properties, he's still working for tips. And he's doing deals where he's selling them to investors, and he realizes they're reselling them oftentimes the same day for up to 15% profits and so on. And his thought process is, well, I can do that. I know more than those guys. Well, he's right and wrong. He knows more about the structure of the law, black and white, versus how reality really works without breaking the law. He can do wholesaling legally, ethically, and morally when he understands about disclosure, disclosure, and disclosure. So one of the big shifts in the industry has been there's actually wholesale retail brokers who advertise and recruit agents. They tell them 3/4 of our agents invest in real estate. The brokerage firm is recruiting agents who want to be investors. These agencies have been created by investors for investor agents who are licensed. It's very simple. And they allow you to choose from one of two plans. You can be an investor agent, just come in, look for properties, buy them yourself, or resell them to us. Or secondly, you want to be a traditional agent? Just pay us $3.95 on your closings, go do your deals. What happens is, when that investor agent gets a property under contract, it's reviewed by his broker, and his broker can make a decision about, holy crow, I want to be the buyer. That's a great price. Or I have buyers, because your buyer's list is so critically important, you're doing this. Everybody thinks the MLS is the where-all and do-all for finding buyers. And the answer is no. It's not as powerful as some of the most powerful wholesalers' buyers' lists. That's where the money is in real estate wholesaling. Not in finding the property, but having a buyer's list where you can sell not only your own properties for bigger margins, bigger profits, but also other investors on a continuing basis. I have plenty of students who are wholesalers only who do mid-six-figure numbers a month because of the size of their buyer's list. By the way, on the website for these wholesale retail brokers, they show pictures of their agents. And I say that with tongue in cheek because for the State Board of Realtors, they have some videos that they play with an attorney that works for them talking about if you want to be a wholesaler, you're going to go to jail. You cannot wholesale. He goes on and on and on. And everything he spews, not everything, most of what he spews is inaccurate. And he comes down to the final analysis of if you wholesale, you're going to be in an orange jumpsuit. And in fact, none of these people at the pictures of their agents on the websites are in orange jumpsuits. So the proverbial question becomes, why not you?